How much do you think that costs?
Knowing America, probably like $2,000 a night or something.
2.9.
Oh my god.
Oh, oh man. Oh.
Yeah,
You could just get your own hotel room for that much money.
Hi, my name is Johan. I'm a regular Dutchman, and I'm reacting to all things that's considered to America. If it's culture, costs, or crazy contracts, I want to know, and I want to react. So let's get to it. And for today, I have a video that's called British NHS. So yeah, reacts to the American medical bills. I want to know, how are those bills compared to the Great Britain? Because the Dutch, we do some things some differently. So 3 points of view. Let's take a look at it.
I want
You wanna
someone
keep
like
the
feeding
bet.
me grapes like this.
I haven't done a collab in so long because of COVID. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a man who won't stop telling you that he sang to the Queen. My name is Evan Edinger, and this is Ian.
Hello.
Ian, what are you doing?
I'm a junior doctor in the NHS.
Hell yeah. So you are one of our heroes that we clap for and that pays your bills.
I wish it paid my bills.
So today I thought it'd be really interesting if I get Ian on and I just talk to him about some hospital bills that we have in the States for some basic things and find out how much certain things should cost or how complex things are. I feel like you've got quite a lot of experience.
Yeah.
What was your shifts like this week?
I've had 3 long 12-hour days and 2 short days. So, and I just came off nights as well. So,
And you don't have to do nights anymore?
yeah, don't have to do any more nights.
Nice.
At least for next year.
Hell
So
yeah. I'm just curious about what the standard checkup entails timing-wise.
Well, generally speaking, if you want like a full body checkup, usually you'd go private for that. It's
Okay.
not something the NHS often offers.
Full body checkup, go private. Okay. For a full body checkup, I go to my local. That's not private. No.
Unless
Really?
you're above a certain age. So I think above maybe 60 or 70 is when they would do a checkup sort of as standard. But generally speaking, yeah, if you want just sort of a checkup for your own kind of
Well-being.
peace of mind or whatever, then you'd usually go private for that, and that would cost you in the range of about 100 quid.
Wow, that's actually
100 quid. $136. UK. If I go for a checkup, it will cost me $0.
the same as the US then, which is
Yeah.
on average about 75 to 150 depending on what I went for a checkup for my GP like 4 years ago, and they were very strange about it. So I guess that's probably why. What would the costs be for having a baby?
Well, again, like everything's
For having a baby.
free. But what it costs the hospital, let's say you go to the hospital, you squeeze it out in half an hour, there's no complications, everything goes smoothly. The hospital's gonna spend about $1.5 maybe for that.
That's it?
Um,
But
yeah.
what about C-section?
So if it gets complicated, you're looking at maybe doubling that. And if it's a C-section, you're maybe looking at maybe sort of $3.5 to $5 for that sort of more complicated delivery.
That's the cost for the hospital. For the woman in question, it costs nothing.
Wow.
But that's like what basically the way the NHS works is they get paid for things that they fix or things that they treat. So they have to try and budget a way to do that so that it comes up to a roughly amount that they get compensated for.
Is this why they don't fix things that aren't broken?
Yeah, and it's why there's certain things that aren't sort of budgeted to fix, or like certain conditions that aren't sort of treated under the NHS.
Are there any sort of hidden fees though, at all? Prescriptions in England, I know, supposedly.
So prescriptions, yeah, they cost about 9 quid. Although depending on what medicine you get, that can either be
Yeah, in the Netherlands, the same depending on what kind of prescriptions you need, but things you have for chronic diseases like I'm asthmatic, then it's something I cannot help with a simple prescription. That's a prescription lifetime. It will cost me nothing. So everything you need, like insulin, yeah, you need insulin, otherwise it costs you nothing. All kind of drugs that you need because you have a chronic issue, that's not a problem. No cost. But if you want to have something very specific, then sometimes, like here, £9 or $12, something in that range, about $10. Yeah, sometimes, depend on. But most of the times, let's say 90% off, it's free. It's in your health insurance. Yeah.
Really good deal or kind of shitty.
So paracetamol.
Yeah, so paracetamol is a classic example. No one wins. NHS pays more money than it gets from that prescription, and you also pay more money than what you would get paid for just in
a Sainsbury's or whatever.
Yeah. So never get paracetamol prescribed unless you're like.
If you're enjoying this so far, like and subscribe. It would really help the channel get more information about this to other Americans who want to know how it's going in the UK or in Europe.
Can't walk.
Is ultrasound very complex? Like, is that?
No, ultrasound's basically your cheapest investigation that you can do as a scan. Ultrasound's super cheap. It costs about 20-50 quid to do an ultrasound scan.
That's pretty fair.
So X-rays are again about 20-50 quid. CTs are about 100. MRIs about 150.
These all sound really manageable.
But you also have to pay to get it like reported, and you've got to like slot it in. And like, for example, if you do a scan overnight, then it costs a bit more because you have to outsource the reporting as well. And reporting a scan costs about £100 to do overnight. So
I mean, this is...
Is this the cost for the hospital that he's talking about, or the cost for the one doing this, getting the CT scan? Because if I need a CT scan right over here in the Netherlands or in Germany or anywhere else, it's free. It's necessary. The costs are not for me, the costs are for the hospital. I'm paid by my insurance. But I don't think that's because he's talking about the NHS, it's the cost for the hospital.
This is making sense. Obviously, it's all free.
Yeah.
But the fact that
That's the answer. It's all free, but the costs are for the hospital.
it costs those amounts, I'm like, even if I had to pay that, I wouldn't be as upset, I suppose. What I've got here is a specific bill on birth. Ultrasound is $897.
So, like in hospital, ultrasound scan is like the scan, or in GP land as well. It's like the scan you try and do first because it's like the quickest, the cheapest, and the easiest. So,
I mean, that isn't the cheapest. The cheapest is audiology. That's $215. I don't know what that means, though.
well, that's just like an ear test, I guess. Yeah.
Testing the pregnant woman, see if she's still hearing.
Maybe when they're listening to the baby through the.
Through the stuff.
Yeah, they do that. Like when they listen to the baby's heartbeat to make sure that it's not like in distress. But that's just that's not.
That's $200 though.
Yeah, you don't pay for that in the NHS. It's just you just do it while you're there.
In the US, the recovery room when you're having a baby is it's not really a closed off room that you get. It's basically like when you're in the NHS and you get put in that like curtain triage. How much do you think that costs?
Knowing America, probably like $2,000 a night or something.
2.9.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah,
You could just get your own hotel room for that much money.
but that's just the recovery room as well. You have to remember that there's also the labor room, which is $5,000.
5.
So just those two rooms is quite a lot. Also, we're not even talking about the surgery, obviously.
Yeah.
If it's a
So,
C-section.
I mean, in the NHS, like you can actually choose to have like a water birth or like a home birth.
You can choose to do that?
Yeah, you
That's
can
pretty
choose,
lit.
and obviously you got to plan for it. And if you're sort of deemed more high risk, they might not let you do it.
Is it cheaper?
I don't know. What about you can make a choice over here also if you want to have a home birth or a hospital birth. Although a hospital birth is preferred because if there are any complications, you're directly at the hospital. Yeah. Water birth, I do not know.
Or did you?
If
Oh,
there's
it's
a
free
risk
here.
to have it complicated. Yeah, I do know like for some postnatal care, like after you've given birth, if you're not like a full UK citizen, then you're not like that's not covered by the NHS. You have to pay half of that.
Whoa.
So if you're like an immigrant,
What if I was an indefinite leave to remain resident, though?
I'm not sure about that, but I know like people who are like on here on asylum, etc. Like if they're giving birth is free, but then the postnatal care they have to pay for half of that. But again, it's not that much. It's like maybe they pay grand max for like everything.
By postnatal care, you're referring to the skin-on-skin contact?
No, that's
Which costs $40 just to
peak
touch the baby.
capitalism right here. Yeah.
I just love that they could have just maybe included that silently in the bill,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they go like, no, you must pay to touch your baby.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, wow. Really? Oh.
the Ryanair of healthcare, isn't it?
The Ryanair of health. Yeah, the entire cost, by the way, for this one was $41,000.
What? $41,000 to give birth. And that's, I assume, for the hospital. And which amount of that will be, maybe he will tell me, which amount of that will be paid by your insurance?
For having a baby. So it's like, how do the poor have
I
babies?
mean, that's more than it costs to raise a baby. Or maybe about the same. I don't know. It depends how
My baby
how
gets
needy your
Gucci.
baby is.
Yeah. How much would anesthesia cost? Because in my opinion,
He doesn't talk about if this is not fully, because it's American way, but if there's of those 41,000, let me know in the comments how much of those 41,000 are actually the cost that you have to pay to get a birth, to give birth. The entire 41,000 on your account, or is there some of that is being paid by your insurance?
that would be really expensive because it knocks someone out. You got to do it right.
So I guess most women, like I guess if they're giving the birth live, they might have something called an epidural, which is where they put a needle in your spine and sort of block all the pain from down below. That's a bit of a pain to do. I don't have an exact figure. It's tricky to get the needle in the right place. So usually you'd get an anaesthetist to do that. So
which is
I guess
extra.
You'd pay the wage of the anaesthetist for that maybe half hour it takes him to do it. And then you'd pay for the materials to do it and the drugs to do it. But I guess it wouldn't cost more than about £200, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's like $400 for the anesthetist. But also drugs is 8.7 grand on this. So the drugs are separate. Just for the drugs.
Yeah. I understand how the British doctor reacts. What?
Here's a story. A patient comes in. He was chopping some vegetables, chopping a bit more than vegetables. Luckily, not harming his.
Not too much.
Yeah, like he didn't chop it too much. He didn't go down to the tendon. It was a bit above that, but he still had to go to the ER. So skin grafts, stitches for that. How complex?
Do you need a skin graft for just a cut?
Was on the bill.
Okay, well, I mean, he must have chopped it pretty bad if he needed a skin graft. Like, when he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Peeled it automatically, trip to ER. You're looking at around 200 for the ambulance, and around between 50 and 400 quid for the A&E part.
200 for the ambulance is pretty sexy.
200 for the ambulance. If you have cut yourself and you are able to drive to the emergency room, it will cost you nothing, because it's a we call it a B drive. So, but if you're not able to come to the hospital on your own, then the ambulance costs will be zero.
And then
Wait, how much was A&E?
like between 50 to 400 pounds. Average is about 100 quid for an
What if
A&E
it was at like nighttime? That's just going up a little bit.
tiny bit more, but like it's about the same.
All right.
And then I guess for the stitches, well, depends how bad the wound is. If it's just like something that someone in A&E can do, we might just do it in A&E ourselves. So
Really? That's
yeah,
useful.
in that case, like your time plus the cost of the stitch would be like £5-10. So
Your time's worth £5?
no, the cost of the stitch. I mean.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Well, I get paid like £12 an hour, like, and then a little bit of bonus for nights. So
Do you get free lunch?
maybe like once a month I'll get like a few like bits of sandwiches on a platter, but I get there late and it's just like the shit ones. That I left. It's not like
you get
nice
just
ones.
ham
Like
or egg and crest.
Yeah. No, those are gone.
Oh, I don't even like egg and
I
crest.
get like one of those.
Okay, let's hear what the American has to say about this.
Small apples that no one likes, you know, the ones that like, are real bitty.
Oh, the brownie ones.
Yeah.
So the doctor worked on this guy in the story for 45 minutes, and the whole bill came out to £5.9 thousand for a little cut on his finger. What's interesting
For a little cut on his finger. So it's a small cut. It's
was they had on the bill here tendon repair, so they had to repair his tendon, even though
For 45 minutes.
there wasn't any tendon error.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely didn't repair his tendon in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's 5.9 grand for the doctor's fees. It was $14,000 in total.
Yeah. So like, if you got it really badly cut, if you really hurt the tendon and you had to go to theatre, max you'd be maybe looking at £1,000, maybe £2,000 if it was really complicated.
Do people watch you in the theater? Like, are there like junior doctors like looking over like?
Yeah. So
man.
I mean, usually there's like the chief operator, and then he'll have like a junior to help him, and then there'll be like the operating nurse who like gives you all the tools, and there'll be like a couple of nurses, who are like doing all stuff in the background, and there'll be the anaesthetist in the corner as well. So yeah, there's usually a fairly decent crowd there.
Do you ever get tired of the smell of the hospital? Like how sanitized it is?
No, not really. I get tired of the smell when it's not sanitized well enough.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Like there's my house.
Elderly care wards or like gastro wards, definitely.
Yeah. Would you say there's a lot of people that go into A&E that probably shouldn't be going there for things like alcohol?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, alcohol is just horrendously expensive for health in general. Like,
really?
I mean, you can, if you think of it in the long term, like it
wow. I'm still thinking about the small cut in your finger, and then, oh man, that happened to me because I worked as a chef before I went to the school system, becoming a teacher. It happened to me, but
messes you up so bad. So in the long run, it costs the NHS tons of money. But if you're just talking about like the acute episode, let's say some like drunk hooligan comes in to A&E, I'm sure there'll be a lot of that tonight.
It's coming home.
So like I said before, A&E attendance usually costs about £50 to £400.
Okay.
So if they just need to sober up in a bed somewhere and then go home like a few hours later after getting a drip, that would be
so the drip, how much would the drip cost?
£5.
A $5. Yeah. I don't know why, but I assume that if there's a bag of liquids going into my body, that's going to cost a lot of money.
Like a bag of salt water, like.
So you're saying?
Yeah, it's nothing more than that.
A bag of saline costs $5.
I mean, I'm guessing, but yeah, it's
no.
definitely...
2 liters of saline costs $700.
I swear, like there are services that you can pay for now, where like you can get a hangover cure, where they like come to your house and set up a drip.
So that's what's interesting is that if you do it at the hospital and it's late night, $700. You can go to Walmart and pick up a bag of saline for I think $16.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, there we go.
You know, it's time and a place. It's like if you get the Uber Eats delivery.
You can go to the Walmart. It's, as far as I know, not possible to get a bag of saline from any shop here in the Netherlands or in Germany, Belgium, ever I've been to. No. On this side in Europe, you can buy a bag of saline from the shop. No. But on the other hand, you can buy on this side, even in England, at Walmart, a gun. So I'm not surprised that if you can buy a gun, you can also buy the stuff you need to...
Far away, a little bit more money. So you go to the hospital, you really need this help. Where are you going to go? Walmart? I don't think so.
If they really drink too much and they like need to stay in hospital, then like obviously a hospital bed where you stay in
and alcohol poisoning, yeah?
Overnight costs a bit more, so that could easily end up reaching like about 500 to £1,000.
How much do you think it cost for that one day? He came in at I think 8 p.m. And he had to. I don't think he stayed overnight, but it was definitely like 5-6 hours. What would the facility fee be to like use the facility?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if you go to A&E, get treated there, and get discharged, I've told you how much that costs.
Oh yeah.
But the sound of that, he's in there for longer than 4 hours, so he'd get moved over to like the acute medical unit beyond that. but just for like overnight until the next morning, like hospital beds between like £200 and £400 per night. So,
$7,600.
Oh man, and I know that the British doctor is talking about the hospital cost, because the cost for the insurance company of the cost for the insurance, because the man lying drunk in their bed won't need to pay anything, as you call it, out of pocket.
But then again, the excuse is, well, this is a late night.
if I am paying that much for a hospital bed, I want
wanna
someone
keep
like
the
feeding
bed.
me grapes like this, like while I'm recovering. You know, I want massages. I want aromatherapy.
Oh, also what was interesting was that it also included a drug test, which he did not consent to, but was on the bill for $970.
And was that just like a basic standard urine drug test?
Yeah, I think
Those
so.
are like 20 quid. Like,
I think the guy had
He did not consent to the drug test, looking if you had used drugs, but it's still, put on the bill. Yeah, we would not mind about this because it won't cost us anything, but wow.
said he came into the place saying, I'm not on any drugs except alcohol. I'm just very, very drunk and I need to like hydrate. And they went, let's test him anyway.
you could just drink some water.
Yeah, I think that he was far gone or something, and he had a wedding the next day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was the bachelor party. It turns out, though, his hospital bill cost more than the entire wedding, which ends up being $12,460.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
That's like more expensive than like they probably spent in the movie Hangover. Like,
Oh my God. Yeah, just for that bachelor party going to like Thailand or whatever.
that's insane. You could literally go to Thailand, get treated
Man, those prices are insane.
there and come back for cheaper.
If he could survive that far. But to be fair, he did get insurance, and so it brought the price down to $2,600. Pretty nice.
Okay, that's what we had. He had insurance, so he had only to pay, what, 2,600?
Did get insurance, and so it brought the price down to $2,600.
2,600.
Pretty nice. Heart attack. Obviously, cardiac arrest. I'm hoping I don't have any of those, but hey. Basically, the story is I have a medical bill from a US high school teacher, aged 44, suffered cardiac arrest and had to spend 4 days in the hospital and get 2 Synergy stents.
Okay.
Do you know what a Synergy stent is?
Exact brand, but
Oh.
yeah, he got some cardiac stents. Okay.
How much
Yeah.
do you think the 2 stents would have cost?
Inside the arteries.
Hot stuff.
Cardiac arrests are a little bit more expensive. I guess the price gets driven up as well because not everyone makes it, and the people who don't make it, they increase the price for the people who do make it, if you know what I mean.
Capitalism.
And I guess most of the cost for sort of cardiac arrests related admission comes from like your time in intensive care.
Yeah.
So intensive care is a lot more expensive than a normal hospital bed. It costs about £2,000 per night to keep someone in hospital intensive care.
That's good to know.
But that's because you've got like one-on-one staffing. You've got all the special equipment hooked up. Like,
Oh, that's more than we have here in the Netherlands. In the intensive care, there's not one-on-one, because he's talking about one-on-one staffing. That's not. You're in the intensive care unit, in the intensive care. Oh, my English is bad today. Department. You get into the intensive care department, and there will be nurses and doctors available, but not one-on-one. Well, with the special equipment that he's talking about, yeah.
but that's because you've got like one-on-one staffing. You've got all the special equipment hooked up. Like, it's a lot more intensive.
Yeah.
If you had a normal heart attack and it wasn't that bad, and you just like, just got treated or whatever, maybe it cost like $1,500, $2,000. If you ended up in intensive care needing cardiac stents and stuff, that could be anywhere from like $4,000 to $10,000.
So that actually makes sense now. Oh, just for the nights in there.
Well, like, no, for everything, like the heart.
Oh, I'm curious about what the entire everything, and everything in it in UK for about 4,000 to 10,000. Again, for the hospital costs, because the patient won't need to pay anything. If you are over here in the Netherlands or in Germany or whatever country in Europe, they will be cared for.
surgery, the intensive care stay, the treatments, like whatever.
Well, his stents cost 19,000 each, and he had 2 of them.
Oh my god, they charge you per stent?
Yeah, each stent
Oh man.
was 19 grand. But luckily, he had really good insurance. So after the heart attack, he only had to pay $109,000.
I think I have another.
What? Oh man. Get over. Damn.
Heart attack in that middle.
Yeah, they would get a heart attack after having the heart attack, especially like he's a teacher, so he had good benefits, but there's only so much you can really do there. So this one's personal to me because, as you know, you helped me out.
He was a teacher and he had good benefits. It doesn't care in Europe if you are a teacher or if you are working at the garbage or McDonald's flipping burgers or whatever you do. It doesn't matter what you do. You have your insurance, your health insurance, and they will pay for you. That's no matter what you do. It's not part of your job.
Last time I had to go to the hospital here.
I remember that.
Made a video. I thought I had appendicitis. I think it was gastro.
Yeah, I think you probably just had a bit of wind or something.
That's what the amount of comments like, this yank thinks he's got acid.
He just needed a fart.
Yeah, I did need a fart. There was a lot of bad farts. I think it was just really intense gastro, but I was told by 2 different nurses 2 different things, so obviously I'm a bit confused. What would it cost to get the appendicitis removed? What is it called?
Okay,
Appendicitis?
Yeah. So appendicitis is one of the quickest and cheapest surgeries you can do.
Oh, is that the thing with the pinhole?
So yeah, you try and do it laparoscopically, which is sort of pinhole surgery. That's actually a bit more expensive than doing it open.
Oh.
Because you've got to use all the equipment and it takes a tiny bit longer. But obviously it's less complications, better for the patient, and it's actually a little bit easier for the doctor as well, because when it's open, all the guts are kind of going around everywhere and it's a bit difficult to kind of...
I really hope they're not going around everywhere.
Yeah. The operation itself would take about half an hour to 40 minutes usually. It can take an hour, a bit longer if it's a bit complicated. The equipment, like all the laparoscopes and like, stitches and stuff,
of course,
that would be about £200-300. The time in the theatre, let's say half an hour to an hour, you'd be spending about 500 to £1,000 on like paying all the staff, the room, and that's like not just like the doctor, that's like the surgeon, the anaesthetist.
This sounds fair.
The assistant surgeon, the nurse, etc. That's everything. So in total, maybe £1,500 max, but it could be a lot less. Like
I feel like if the US didn't
Covered by NHS, because I now see the asterisk marking right here, covered by NHS, so it's paid for by your medical.
Have healthcare like the NHS did, but yet was that price. I feel like people wouldn't be as uproared about it. I mean, obviously £1,000 is a lot of money, but also compared to like $44,000 for an appendicitis removal.
Well,
44.
£1,000 is a lot of money, but also compared to like $44,000.
Damn.
For an appendicitis removal.
Well, I think people should understand like what they're asking for costs, because a lot of the time,
itemized receipt,
a lot of the time people go to the hospital sort of inappropriately, like they don't know actually how much they're costing, like because that money ends up going back through the system and they end up paying for it in their taxes, so it's not direct, but they are kind of responsible for it. And I feel like people in UK, just because everything's free, they're like,
just go. Yeah. I guess because it's such a macro level that they're affecting it so tiny that they're like, Yeah. Because of my upbringing, and it costs $1,500 for an ambulance, if ever I'm ill, even here, I'm too scared to go to the hospital.
But that's a problem in itself as well, because then... we saw a lot during COVID. People were reluctant to go to hospital or their GP for certain things, and now we're getting lots of late presentations of cancers that were missed and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Because it's 2025 now. During the COVID period, when you had actually a COVID attack, did people in the US went to the doctor or to the hospital because they didn't go to the hospital or doctor because of the costs that would it be? I want to know. Let me know in the comments.
And like really advanced and like spread everywhere. It's quite horrible, really. So, I think people should go to the doctor, but they should just do it like the appropriate way, like rather than just going straight to A&E.
111.
Yeah, or go to your GP, or call 111 or whatever.
As opposed to just going straight to the hospital.
Rock up to A&E, sit in a chair for 4 hours because no one really wants to see you because you're sitting there with like a graze in your knee,
Or gastro.
or some wind.
I felt like that's a pain that I'd never experienced before, and I was like, I'd rather be safe.
Yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
And that was my only time I've ever used the NHS's funds.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. It's good advice for here, because you can do this. But in America, it will cost you a rip.
But that makes you wonder, actually, thinking about it. In America, I wonder how much that stuff happens. How often do people not go to the doctor?
A lot.
I wonder, actually, it kind of makes me want to see like what the rates of like advanced cancer diagnosis are, and whether they're different between the two countries. Because
because of that.
Yeah,
I had travel insurance when I got into a cactus incident in the Grand Canyon. And I was excited because I thought I'd be able to use the insurance, but the health insurance only works at certain practices. So like when I went to the one that was closest, they told me we don't accept it, $450 bill just to remove some spines from me. And it was either that or I drive 40 miles away. So
I remember I actually had really bad gastroenteritis in Japan, and I ended up in a Japanese ambulance, going to a Japanese hospital, and they just CT scan everyone in Japan. So like they didn't need to CT scan me, they just did it.
That's nice.
They do charge for it. But even though I was a tourist, I paid like I think £100 or £200 for everything, and that was like the drip, the treatment, the scan, the ambulance.
that just seems reasonable. Yeah. Well, I'm very thankful to live here. I like to end these with like, maybe this can happen in the future, but...
Well, maybe the doctors can get paid a decent wage in the future.
Yes! Oh, you're like, we should bring it up.
Healthcare is expensive.
Yeah.
And we really haven't put much extra money into it, despite the fact that our population's getting older, getting bigger, and that new treatments are coming out that are sort of becoming more and more expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you invest in health, you get paid back because people can work longer, they can contribute to the economy more. So
yeah, okay, good advice. But yeah,
it's a no-brainer.
I'm stunned by the costs. Oh, damn. I did know that the prices in US are high, but this high?
No, really. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Thanks for coming on the show.
That's okay.
On the show now.
The bedroom.
Thanks for joining me in my bedroom. Anything you want to shout out? Anywhere you want people to go? Don't go to the hospital.
No, it's fine. We'll happily see you. No, I'm not going to shout out anything. I'll shout out to my sister. Yeah.
All right, go subscribe to Dodie. Thanks for...
You probably are already.
Thanks for coming on by. If you guys want, I made a video about the hospital. You can check that on screen. Other than that, I guess we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for coming by.
Oh, wow. And I'm still curious about how much the insurance costs. Because I talked about it yesterday, about the video of the cost of living. And now I want to know how much the cost of insurance really is. Because you have a high price tag when you have some kind of treatment in the United States, but I want to know how much do you pay for your insurance. Yeah, I will find a video about that and react to that video too. And if you want to join me on that video and look at how amazed I will be at those prices, comparing to the prices that we have here in the Netherlands or in Europe, yeah, let me know. Subscribe and tick this notification bell. Then you will know when this video is out. And I will see you in that video.